So fortunately, we got this together. Technology can always be challenging. So thank you for agreeing to do this Zoom diversity chat with me. So I'd like to start off by asking you to tell me who you are and a little bit about yourself and anything else you want to share.
My name is Tonya Marsh Dawson, and I'm a Black female. I am an insurance agent. I don't have a specific company. I work for quite a few companies. And I'm self-employed. I own my own agency. I am a disabled American veteran. I spent 8 years in the U.S. Marine Corps and served my time well with the honorable discharge. I am a daughter. I am a wife. And I am a mother of 2 beautiful Black men. I'm also a grandmother with 8 grandchildren. I have 2 from my biological sons, and I have 6 from my stepchildren. So, and they're all beautiful Black, male and female. That's who I am. And I am an advocate for my people.
Thank you so much for that. So let me ask you a question. With the family you just named, in the world that we live in, going back to 1619 to 2021, June of 2020, what has your experience been with concern, fear, conversations with your sons and your family about the world in which we live?
You know, I go all the way back. Instead of just 2019, I can go all the way back as far as I can remember with my sons, since they were old enough to understand language. I have shared with them that they are Black men, and that as Black men, they have to work twice as hard, they have to do twice as much, and they have to be twice as careful. I have always worried about my Black sons in the world that we live in, not just the world we live in today, but the world we live in since they were born, and since before they were born. So I have a lot of concerns. I have concerns that they're Black and that they are seen as different, inferior, not worthy of the American dream or the American place because they're Black. And I share that with them so they can be aware, because it's dangerous to be Black in the United States.
And so I'm assuming that's the talk every mother and father of a Black and brown child has with their children, and what to do as they operate in society when they encounter law enforcement, what to do as they go about their daily lives. It's that talk. You have that talk with your children.
Yeah, I hope that it is the conversation that every African American family has with their children. I hope they are real enough with what's going on in this world to have that conversation. I know for me and my family, my sisters, my brothers, I know that we all have that conversation from the time my children were very small. I've taught them about race in America and how they have to be careful. Yeah. And I only hope that all of them do that, because they need to be prepared.
Right.
I would hate to send my children out unprepared for what they can encounter in this world.
Yes, absolutely. And so let me ask you one more question specifically to that, tangentially. So do you think that the label that are placed on Black and brown people, we are violent, that we are intellectually inferior, that we are less than those who consider themselves white supremacists or white whatever it is? My husband says to me all the time, he never likes the word people of color because that elevates people of non-color to a higher position. What do you think about the stereotypes and labels that have been attached to Black people?
They disgust me, open and honest. It disgusts me because it's such an untruth. It's an untruth, and it's laden with their fears. Because you dehumanize people. Because I believe that blacks, non-browns are afraid of what they are liable to encounter when they truly encounter us, because we're intelligent, we're beautiful, we're a variety,
Right.
and so to give us the equal footing may allow us to completely surpass. And I believe that is the fear, and it disgusts me because honestly, my belief is white America, to be frank, created the African American. You
Right.
brought us here.
Right.
You brought us here. You infiltrated us. You raped us. You monopolized our strengths for your own benefit. You created our race. We can't, and then you say, go back to Africa. We're not from Africa.
Right.
We're from America. You brought us here.
Yep.
So now that you brought us here with the thought that we are inferior to, instead of doing like you would do your children, like, I want to raise you to be better, to achieve more. There now, how dare you become better than us?
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Do you consider yourself, or have you been told that you are an angry Black woman?
Oh yes, I'm always told I'm an angry Black woman.
Are you?
I'm not. I'm a very peaceful, loving Black woman. I'm angry about certain things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But my title is not angry Black woman.
That is not mine either. I absolutely agree with you. Can you tell me a little bit about your time in the military? So what branch of the military, and while you were in the military, did you experience any kind of microaggression, racism, whatever the life of a military officer is?
I was in the military in the United States Marine Corps. I was enlisted. The military has several different aspects of it for me. There are certain things I can talk about. There's certain things I can't talk about. There's certain things I won't talk about. As far as racism in the military, it is profound. It can be on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. You can go into one area and you can be completely discriminated against because of your rank, regardless of the color of your skin, just because of your rank. And then you can go in a completely different area and you can be completely discriminated against because of the color of your skin. So the discriminatory acts in the military are vast, and it's a wide range of different things. So when we talk about discrimination, that's one thing, but then let's talk about racism in the military. Racism in the military is huge. Dark, or let's say colorism. Colorism plays a big part. Light skin versus dark skin. Location. So me as a light-skinned African-American female may get treated much better in a unit where there are majority male or majority Black male. Whereas my sister, who is just beautiful, if not more, but darker complected than me, may get treated worse and get a different duty, depending on the location. So we could go deep into the military because the racism goes beyond Black and white. it goes to colorism, depending on your shade of black or brown, you know.
And
I
and your gender.
And your gender, yes. I've had people in the military when I went into boot camp that young women would come up and want to touch my hair or want to touch my skin and kind of line us up like we're on some kind of block. Never have physically come into contact with Black people.
Right.
So they didn't know. So they'd be like, oh, your hair is cute. It's so soft.
Mm-hmm.
I expected it to be hard like a Brillo pad.
Wow.
Why? You know? Or your skin, you're so light. How come your hair is so nappy? You know, because I'm light, so I should have pretty, curly, kind of mixed breed hair.
Right.
I'm Black.
Right.
You know, so yeah, you encounter the military is just a whole meeting all on its own.
Well, thank you for that. Let me ask you now, you said you are self-employed, so I assume that means you have your own business, you have your own employees, and you have customers. Can you talk a little bit about first what groups make up your employees by race, gender, or whatever characteristic that's applied there, about your customers equally, race, gender, and have you, with being a business owner of your own, have you experienced, I don't even want to say discrimination or racism, but maybe challenges that, say, a white person in your role would not have?
Oh yeah. So my staff is, at this time, my staff are all African American. It has not always been that way. I have had white people part of my staff, amazing white people. I have had amazing Latinas or Latinos, male, female, however, from all ranges, employed in my agency. And it has been a great experience for me because I've worked with some really great people. However, our customer base is full of variety. We have all races, all creeds, all colors are there. The biggest part of racism for me that I experience in my agency as an insurance agent is from the customer.
Wow.
Once they find out that, and I'm sure I'll encounter more, but once they find out that I own the agency and I'm not just a worker or a hired manager by the companies that I work for that they may be insured with, it's a whole different ballgame. As long as I am the employee of the company, then they're okay. They're respectful. They can work with me, no problem. When they find out that I'm the owner, that I'm the one who's gonna make the rules here, or reap the benefit of their patronage, that's when things change. That's when they become belligerent, disrespectful. They leave. I then become the servant versus a intelligent person that is helping them with their insurance. So yeah, it's something to see.
That's pretty powerful, Tonya. That's really, really pretty powerful. Let me ask you a really generic question. Are you safe in America?
Oh no.
Why do you say that you are not?
Because I am a Black female that represents as a Black female. I'm an intelligent Black female that represents as a Black female. I wear my locks and I wear them proud. so that there's no doubt who I am, regardless of my skin color. People even began treating me different once I started growing back my locks. 5 years ago, I was bald headed because I had gone through cancer treatments. And I decided then, hey, here's an opportunity to start new with my growth. And I grew in my locks. And people were like, oh my God, why would you do that to yourself? Why would, especially white people, especially white friends,
Yeah.
why would you do that to yourself? Why are you growing your locks? Why don't you relax your hair? I mean, it goes deeper than just color of your skin. They want you, some want you to even look a certain way.
Right.
If you're going to be black, if you have to be black,
Right.
then you really should look like this. I mean, if you have to be black.
Right.
And
As
at least.
As if you had a choice.
Right. Right. It's like, if you gotta be black, then at least be this.
Yeah.
Then you're more acceptable. So, yeah.
I will share it with you. When President Obama left the White House, I cut my hair and I wore an afro. And almost everybody I saw, especially Black and brown people, said I looked like Angela Davis, which I never saw the resemblance, but okay, I accepted that. But then others said the same thing that was said to you. Is that really your hair? Can I touch it? Is that really, what is that? Is that a wig you're wearing? And, in some parts, you can contribute that to ignorance.
Right.
And then in other parts, you can feel like, what difference does it make what my hair looks like? Am I doing my job? Am I treating you fairly? Are you available to interact with me without feeling some sense of fear or aggression or whatever? And in a lot of ways, the answer is almost always no, because as you said, they expect you to look a certain way. They expect you to talk a certain way. I don't know if you remember this. You and I are fairly close in age, but I remember when Black people and brown people started getting a college degree, we were named as talking white. Like, what exactly is talking white? Right. And I've heard a lot over the years about code switching. So when we're at home with our families and our friends, we have one dialect. And then when we are in our workspaces or other diverse social groups, we have another space. But I think that what you said is dead on. There's an expectation that you are something that is palatable to them.
Right.
So as you look at what you've seen, let me ask you another question. Do you remember James Byrd Jr. in Texas?
I remember that name.
He was a Black man who was tied by the neck to a back of a truck and dragged 3 miles.
Yes, I do remember, yes.
Another form of lynching.
Yes.
So when you look at the world, and that was in 1998, the same year my son was born. When you look at the world today and you look back over history, so you had slavery, Jim Crow, Reconstruction, and every other kind of title they could put out there for us, Brown versus Board of Education, integration, and all those things. It seems like there has been so much resistance to giving Black and brown people equal footing. So as you look at the world, how do you see those things in context? So you have a business, you're very successful, you're very smart, you're intelligent, you're beautiful. But when you look at the world with all the things that are happening around us, how do you see that in context?
In like, how does it make me, I'm trying to understand your question. How do I see that, like, when I look at the world in reference to me in my life?
So okay, let me see if I can be a little clearer. So 2 or 3 weeks ago, the officer put his knee on George Floyd's neck for almost 9 minutes. And the information that is in the public domain says he tried to pass a counterfeit $20 bill. So which means his life was worth $20, literally. And he had done so much good in the world. So when you think about and not just using that example, but Trayvon Martin and, the number of Black men that have been killed or jailed, the long prison sentences, all of these things. How do those things shape how you think, how you feel, how you act, what you say, what you do?
Wow. First, I have to address George Floyd. Amongst all the other Black men and women that have been killed at the hands of cops and white racists, it terrifies me, for one, because I'm a mother of Black men. It angers me because it's like this young lady said that, and I won't mention her name because I won't give her credit. But she said, well, George Floyd wasn't perfect. He was this, and he had been to jail, or he had done whatever he had done. I believe that is irrelevant to what has happened. I think that regardless of the crime, it does not warrant the treatment that we receive, because no one man gets to be judge and jury.
Absolutely.
No one person gets to put their knee on the neck of another human being as if he gets to make every decision regarding this man and his life well lived. Right. So it disgusts me in relation to me as a Black woman. It makes me look at the world with a different lens. Though I see the racism, though I can take it and put it in context when I'm dealing with my everyday, it still shakes me to my core. The cruelty and the privilege of some people. It still shakes me to my core that Black people are treated so much worse, with so much more malice than other people. I'll say that. If that were a white man and a Black cop, there would be lynchings. It would have turned the world upside down in a completely different manner. Wouldn't be no peaceful march. Look at what they did. Was it 1937, I believe it was? Black Wall Street, Oklahoma City.
Yep, burnt the whole city down.
The whole city killed numerous amounts of people.
Right.
Over something they didn't even know whether it happened or not.
Right. And in Durham, you take Hayti, they put the Durham freeway through it, and there's Black Wall Street gone.
That's right.
So every time we put one foot forward, they try to make sure we stay in our place.
Exactly. It's out of balance.
Exactly.
You say James Baldwin, love to hear him speak, because it's out of balance. You say one thing, but it applies here differently than it applies there. And it's all about color. It's all about the color of your skin. I mean, all my life, I've been called a house slicker.
Yep. Because
of the color of my skin.
Yep.
All my life, I've been assumed to be more palatable because of the color of my skin. And then I open my mouth and they realize, oh no, she just like, yeah, because it's unbelievable. It's just, in this day and time, as much as Black people have contributed to this country, to the world, how do you not know
Right.
How do you not recognize that your privilege has put you in a mindset? And don't make me talk about Amy Cooper.
Okay, no, let's not talk about her.
Okay.
No. We have
Okay.
2 minutes left, so I'm going to
Oh
give
my goodness.
2 minutes to you to say whatever you wish to say, or don't want to say, whatever you want. These are your 2 minutes.
I think what I would really like to say is thank you for addressing these issues in a formal or semi-formal manner. Thank you for having the questions to ask. Thank you for listening and bringing up the subject. It goes 10 times deeper. It goes much further than just a Zoom conversation. It goes to the street. It goes to the protest.
Yep.
It goes to the way we are treated in society. It goes so much deeper than that. And I appreciate you touching the rim and saying, hey, let's talk about this. Because one thing that I hope, Dr. Brown, is that the conversations don't ever stop. That they don't stop until change has happened.
I agree.
It's been weeks.
I think
and it needs to be years.
Years, right. Because
I'm honored that you thought that I would be someone to talk to.
I think your life is profound. I think what you've been able to accomplish, what you've endured, your health, your career are beyond measure. So I am honored to call you my friend. You know I love you. And I pray that one day, maybe in our lifetimes, but maybe in our children's lifetime, we will be seen as human and not expendable. We'll be treated as equals and not the Black person or the brown person. So I thank you so much for doing this with me. And if you want to come back and do another, I'm happy to continue this conversation with you, because I think your life has many stories and corners and pockets that you really have not had a chance to address. But anytime you want to come back and have this chat, we will have it. I thank you so much, and I love you very much.
And I love you, and I appreciate you. Keep moving, interview as many as you can.
I absolutely am. I'm asking everybody I know. I'm asking you if you know any people who would make good candidates or would be willing to talk and share their voices, please. Because I think, as you said earlier, we have all of these important people, wealth and platforms are talking. But the people that are in the trenches, that are seeing this every day, others are trying to speak for us, but really our stories are our stories. So thank you. And I look forward to talking with you again. Stay safe, my friend.
Take care. Bye.